China's #1 brand, Colorful. We have the RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC from their iGame line. Is it good? Is it great? We'll find out in this video. Keep watching. Colorful is slowly making their mark internationally, and if you're someone who's never dealt with the brand, their Chinese origins may put you off. But we've worked with the company for over 5 years, and their hardware quality has generously improved over time. Over here in the Philippines and some part of Southeast Asia and East Asia have been part of Colorful's internationalization efforts, with growing markets in Korea, Vietnam, and of course the Philippines right here. That said, Colorful has sent us their iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC graphics card aimed at a more general audience who are still discerning and want a more reinforced build and cooling. This has been something that has interested me, how good Colorful is with their lower mainstream models, as they do really hold a significant chokehold on the Chinese market as the #1 brand when it comes to GPUs. With the RTX 2070 Super being an interesting GPU in itself, it's going to be nice to see what Colorful brings to the table. Let's find out. The Vulcan X OC are heavily cooled and modified models featuring a nice LCD screen on the side for GIF animations, but command a premium as it is Colorful's mainstream flagship. For the advanced OC cards, they receive a slight upgrade such as the dual pin PCIe connector versus the 6+8 on the reference card. The advanced OC cooler is also quite beefier with 8mm heat pipes, as you can see right here, and they transfer heat from the GPU block all the way to the pin stacks. So Colorful calls this the Silver Shark cooler, and covering this a Kamen Rider style shroud right here with a central fan highlighted with this red trim. The company says it's inspired by Iron Man's arc reactor, but given this company's history with Kamen Rider, one can't shake that Kingston vibes from the cooler. So if you're a fan of the series, this is a trivia. So otherwise, yeah, hell yeah, Tony Stark. Colorful ships the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC with a 770 MHz boost clock, same as reference. Like its Vulcan X brothers, this card has an overclock BIOS right here, which kicks the GPU to 1815 MHz. So let's dive right into performance. First, let's check out power and thermals. As usual, NVIDIA's cooler, no matter how good looking, still leaves a lot to be desired. The iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC Silver Shark cooler, though, does a good job keeping our card at 70 degrees Celsius. In our benchmark timeline, turbo mode has lower thermals around 3/4 of the way, and that's due to Colorful possibly putting in a higher fan profile when in turbo mode. This does give a slight benefit, as you'll see in the chart below, where the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced gets a slight megahertz bump. We do see tight clock speeds during the test, and do take note that reference is 770 MHz boost and turbo is 1815. We're seeing the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC go past 1900 MHz, seeing a peak of 1950 MHz, but pretty much holding at 1910. This explains the relatively similar score that we saw earlier in our 3D Mark times by benchmark. This is also the reason that we will also be sticking with normal mode for the rest of this test. As mentioned, the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC has good cooling based on our test. It does compete well with Asus's heavier ROG Strix cooler, but Galaxy's larger fans and more aggressive fan curve outcools the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC. Comparing power draw, since NVIDIA really doesn't allow messing with power, most RTX 2070 Super will draw around the same power even with an overclock. That said, like previous Colorful VGA cards that we've tested, there's always a little bit of extra draw in wattage, but it's nothing really alarming. Compared to a reference RTX 2070 Super, as we've seen in the beginning of this review, great cooling really helps in unleashing the performance of this card. And while NVIDIA really doesn't allow massive overclocks with any RTX 2070 Super, a good cooler will definitely help in keeping your card performing on a high level. Evidently, in much of our tests, the Colorful iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC proves to be the superior card, even beating out a custom-cooled RTX 2080. Now, that's something I've noticed since the Super launch, but we'll discuss that in a different topic. but do know the results have been validated. Going back to the RTX 2070 Super Founders Edition, it's really held back by its cooler, and the colorful card really shows what a properly cooled RTX 2070 can do. At 1440p, where this card is expected to shine, it does deliver the performance expected from it, and it brings excellent number to the fray. Even gaming in 4K is highly doable with this card. Now, on the matter of ray tracing, while we didn't test those, they are an option, and NVIDIA updated DLSS, so games that utilize both technologies will definitely enjoy great performance in launch. Still, ray tracing has grown since the RTX 2000 cards debuted, and regardless of whatever card you use, if you appreciate eye candy, the option is always there. For a card like the colorful iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC, much like its general performance, thanks to better cooling, you'll enjoy better frame rates with ray tracing on with this card, and even more so should DLSS 2.0 is available in your game. Going back to the colorful iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC, it's a highly likable card. Very good cooling, excellent performance, and a simple yet striking design that should blend well with most modern builds. This card is best enjoyed at 1440p, delivering a nice balance of frame rates and eye candy, but 240Hz seekers can use it for 1080p and enjoy it in 4K as well for lighter games like modern esports shooters and those things like Modern Warfare, Fortnite, and Valorant. The only drawback of this card is that it is hard to find. Availability isn't so great outside of China and some markets like South Korea, but for their emerging markets like the Philippines or the USA, this card will almost always be available online and usually out of stock. Prices will range around $600 or past 30,000 pesos, but expect it to be a bit higher due to logistics issues during the pandemic period. Given that though, if you're trying to stick to a certain budget and you manage to snag one of these, it's definitely going to be one of those long-term purchases that are worth the investment. In closing, Colorful is certainly not holding out when it comes to their entry iGame models, and the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OCV is definitely a nice direction to go for users that want a sturdy GPU and have grown tired of the ROG Strix or that skinny fajita dragon design. If you're lucky enough to spot one in the wild and you're in the market for an RTX 2070 Super, the iGame RTX 2070 Super Advanced OC from Colorful is definitely an easy recommendation that I can make. And thanks to its beefier cooling and the performance, it's really backed by quality. Once again, this has been your boy Boss Mac from BackToGaming.com. If you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to like the video, comment the video, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.